Picture this. You're navigating a super crowded strait. You've got dozens of massive vessels all around you, churning through the water. It's tense. Now, radar is great, but it just gives you these anonymous little blips. Imagine if instead, every single one of those blips automatically broadcast its actual name, its exact speed, and its destination directly to you, every couple of seconds. No guesswork. That's exactly what we're diving into today in this explainer. It's called AIS, and it's basically every ship's digital fingerprint.
Let's break down that difference. Radar alone gives you, well, anonymous blips. Don't get me wrong, radar is an absolutely essential tool for avoiding collisions. It uses radio waves bouncing off targets to give you speed and distance. But it doesn't tell you who that blip actually is. AIS, on the other hand, changes the game completely. It turns those anonymous targets into named, trackable vessels, showing you their exact heading and, more importantly, their actual intentions.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of this. What exactly is the Automatic Identification System, or AIS? Well, it's a standard VHF transponder system that automatically and continuously broadcasts and receives identifying and positional data between ships and shore stations. And actually, under international maritime regulations, this isn't just some fancy optional gadget. It is strictly mandatory on passenger ships and any commercial vessel over 300 gross tons. It's basically the ultimate wingman to your radar. By exchanging all this data over VHF radio frequencies in the maritime band, AIS completely eliminates the sheer chaos of the old days. I mean, imagine being in those crowded waters and having to jump on the voice radio to hail, "The ship off my port bow, please respond." It's incredibly slow and honestly super ambiguous if there happen to be 5 different ships off your port bow. But with AIS, you just look at your screen, grab the ship's exact name or its MSI, which is its unique 9-digit ID number, and you hail them directly and unambiguously. To make this super intuitive, think of AIS kind of like a highly polite, incredibly organized group chat for ships. Imagine thousands of vessels all automatically updating their status on one single shared radio channel. Every ship is just dropping a live location pin, a name tag, their current speed, and their travel plans right into this giant group chat. And the coolest part? Nobody is manually typing a single thing. It all just happens automatically in the background, giving everyone shared awareness. Now, what's genuinely wild here is the sheer volume of data we're talking about, 4,500. The AIS channel can easily handle well over 4,500 reports per minute across a busy shipping lane. Think about that for a second. That is a massive amount of information constantly pulsing through the airwaves, constantly refreshing to build this incredibly dense, real-time map of the entire maritime domain around you. But wait a minute, let's do a quick check for the active learners out there. If you've got thousands of ships all broadcasting on the exact same VHF channel, thousands of times a minute, how on earth does nobody talk over anybody else, right? Like in a normal group chat or radio channel, if everyone talks at exactly the same time, you just get total static. So how does AIS avoid this massive collision of data? Well, the secret sauce here is a technology called SOTDMA, and it works in 3 really elegant steps. First, the transponder listens to the channel to see what's going on. Second, it finds an open, free time slot within a 1-minute cycle. And third, it claims that tiny fraction of a second and fires off its data burst. It is literally like a perfectly choreographed relay race, where every runner automatically knows exactly when it's their turn to grab the baton, and the whole system organizes itself completely on the fly, with absolutely zero need for a central controller on shore. So that mouthful of an acronym, SOTDMA, it stands for Self-Organizing Time Division Multiple Access. And the genuinely brilliant part of this engineering is how it dynamically adapts. Fast-moving or actively maneuvering ships, they get to update as often as every 2 seconds, because obviously they need that split-second accuracy to avoid hitting anything. But if a ship is just sitting quietly at anchor, it doesn't need to shout its location constantly. So the system adapts, and that anchored ship broadcasts way less frequently to preserve the channel's capacity. Ultimately, the big takeaway here is that unlike radar, which just gives you a target's physical position, AIS gives you positive identification. And that positive ID is exactly what vessel traffic services on shore and those modern electronic chart screens right there on the bridge rely on completely. They take the physical bounce from the radar, marry it perfectly to the digital fingerprint from the AIS, and assemble this beautifully complete, highly organized navigational picture. Okay, so to wrap up part one of this explainer, we've seen exactly how this awesome SOTDMA technology broadcasts ship identities over totally crowded airwaves. Coming up next in part two, we're going to break down exactly what data is actually inside those little radio bursts. Things like static data, dynamic data, and voyage data. Plus, we're going to cover a very real, very serious warning regarding the danger of bad data.
Which brings me to this final, pretty provocative thought I want you to carry into part two. If AIS is this incredibly smart automatic system, what happens when the human data entered into it, things like the ship's destination or its draft, is outdated, or just completely wrong, or in some really rare cases, deliberately falsified? As a skilled navigator, you can never, ever let a digital screen completely override what your own eyes and your radar are telling you. Because what happens when a ship's digital fingerprint lies? Think about that for a bit, and I'll see you over in part two.